If you're having any difficulties accessing anything in this video tutorial, please contact our help desk by email at aoe.gmshelp@vermont.gov or by phone at 802-479-1044. We will help you find alternative means to access this information. If you are looking for more information on accessing the GMS platform, please see the GMS user manual located in the training section of the GMS landing page. This training session is regarding filing reimbursement requests in the grants management system, specifically for the 21st Century Program. The 21st Century Program for subgrantees who received awards in FY19, the applications were captured outside of the grants management system and instead were done on paper and through other electronic processes. However, for FY19 reimbursement requests, claims are still being entered in the system using what is described in the GMS system as payments-only logic. So I'm going to demonstrate the process of submitting a claim for 21st Century, highlighting how it's different than submitting a claim for other grant programs where the applications were done within the grants management system. Again, business manager training for submitting reimbursement requests was previously conducted on July 26th and again on August 1st. Recording of the August 1st session is being made available as soon as possible. So we're not going to go through the whole process of creating a reimbursement request, mainly highlighting the differences of a 21st Century claim. Move to the GMS logon page, the landing page here, and type in your email and password to log into the system. This is traditionally, we're talking to business managers, district superintendents, the individuals authorized to submit claims within the grants management system. For the purposes of this training session, I'm going to come into the test environment here. In the test environment, I'll log in with an ID that I have that's set up with access to multiple districts, but they are logged into, pardon me, click on the Access Select link, and you'll notice these are all the districts that this ID has access to. And so I'm going to go ahead and select North Country here. North Country is unique in that they have multiple awards. There are a few districts that have multiple concurrent FY19 projects, North Country being one of them. When I select North Country, it brings me into their Access Select webpage. There's a new section besides the central data, besides formula grants, besides competitive and continuation grants. There's a new section down here called Payments Only. When you see 21st Century approved projects, there are no open, amend, payments buttons, and that's because this is a program that has the ability for this one district to have multiple projects during the year. Same was the case for continuous improvement plans for those of you that filled those out. And in order to see the individual open buttons, you have to click on this chevron here to the left of 21st Century approved projects, and that will show all of the approved projects for FY19. Most districts only have one project, but you still need to click on that chevron in order to see these buttons. Some districts have as many as 3 21st Century projects. So these are the two different projects that, in this case, North Country has. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on the payments button specifically for the supervisory union project. I'm sorry, let me go back and show one thing quickly. Although the application wasn't done online, there is still the open button to see the information that's out there. And all we have is an overview page, and it highlights the fact that you didn't fill out an application in the GMS, but we've loaded your budget information into the GMS. If you click on the Budget Summary tab, it will show the dollar amounts associated with this particular award. And most money is budgeted into instruction, grant admin, extra co-curricular activities. Point being, we're going to go back to the Access Select page here. That's the budget that has been entered into the database, which is enabling the reimbursement process to function. So I click on the Supervisory Union and click on Payments. No amendments of these budgets can be performed by districts in the system, unlike a CFP or IDEA, where you can submit amendments in the system. So now I'm on the payment summary page. It shows the total amount of the award, the total amount of the budget, which in the case of 21st Century is almost always the same. In the test environment, I've put through $50,000 worth of claims just to illustrate how that would work, and there's a balance of $256,000 left. I click on the View Reimbursement Requests button, and it brings me to the Reimbursement Requests menu. these are the 3 claims that I've been working with for testing purposes. I'm going to go ahead and select on request number 3 and hit delete request, and it will. It's gone. And if you had anything meaningful out there, it's really gone. So please be very judicious about using that button. I'm going to now click the Create New Request button, which will create reimbursement request number 3. Again, here's the link for the chart of accounts information. Here's where we will be putting frequently asked questions behind this instructions link. We redisplay the grid of your budget lines, and you may claim by object code against this approved budget. Again, still a 35% variance allowed, so you could go 35% over $210,000 worth of salaries if this was North Country, if you were claiming against this budget. So roughly you could go up to somewhere in the neighborhood of $280,000 in salaries, but you can't ever exceed the $306,000 total amount of the award. So I'll go ahead and enter one line item for salaries. Just for the purposes of this demonstration, type in the word test. I'm going to type in $15,000. And I'm going to come down. If you have an approved indirect cost rate and amount, that approved indirect costs amount will show up down here. I'm going to go ahead and hit Save Page without entering anything else. It's going to give me some error messages saying, well, you didn't fill out the expenditure date range. So I'll come back down and do that. And I'm going to put in a date range that does not overlap with existing claims. I'm going to say it's from August 1st, 2018 through, and I'm recording this session here on August 10th, so I'm going to say August 5th. Now, we don't expect you to submit claims for such a period. Most likely claims are submitted either on a monthly or not less than quarterly basis, but for purposes of testing, the system will allow that kind of date range to go through. I'll come down here, and with that date range now entered, I'm going to say, no, I didn't receive any programmatic income. And now when I hit Save Page, that will have resolved those error messages. And you can see that the line that I entered has now gone out and said, well, you had $210,000 on your salaries budget, and you've already been paid $50,000, leaving $160,000 remaining to salaries specifically. There's some editing going on behind the scenes to make sure you don't overspend, overclaim more than your budget within that 35% tolerance. Ultimately, with that information now complete, I can go ahead and hit the Certify Submit button, and the message will come up there that says, this request has been submitted to, has been forwarded to AOE for processing, and furthermore, no more updates can be made. Back on the menu, you can see that the status of this is now submitted to AOE status, where it's being reviewed. It will either be returned for changes or forwarded on to Vision for processing. If a claim is returned back for changes, you can click on the radio button next to it, click on this review summary. The review summary will show the financial team's review comments about that, and if I open up this review checklist, it will open up in a different browser window. Your pop-up blocker must be disabled. The only question that's actually going to be displayed, and I've got security turned off for this, is this claim acceptable? When I see the comment out there, I click Close Browser. That shuts that browser tab, and then I could go in and edit the claim if the agency returned that claim for changes for me. So that's the process of actually looking at the feedback that comes back on a claim. Now, before we wrap up this session, I want to show what a existing claim looks like here. I'm going to go back to the claim menu again. Go into reimbursement request number 1 that was approved and simulated to be sent to Vision. When I reopen that request, you'll see some information about the reconciliation. We'll get the voucher numbers that this claim was made by. We're working to get the exact date when that payment was made to your district. That is still in the process of testing with the Vision interface right now. We'll actually have a real grant award number displaying out here that will be available on your grant award notifications as well. And finally, down on the very bottom, you'll see this payment funding details section. This speaks to the dollar amount that you were paid, and then we talk about the CFDA number, and if we were paying you prior year funds that were carryover or rollover funds, you'd see that this was paid under a 2019 grant year, but the year that the funds were appropriated was 2018. And so if for example, we had $5,000 worth of FY18 money left to spend, you'd receive $5,000 out of FY18 and $45,000 out of FY19. Ultimately, you've received the $50,000, but that's just the state doing what it needs to do to deplete carryover to reduce the risk of lapsing funds. Back on claim number 3 that I was previously creating during this session here, the grant award number was out there, and here it is right there, which is a combination of your district code, the year, the program code, and a sequence number as well. And again, that will appear on grant award notifications. That concludes this training session for submitting claims for the reimbursement requests on 21st Century only. This is not for the competitive grant. These are for awards that have been made. And again, the key difference here on the Access Select page, you must open this chevron and then go into the payments process from that point for your specific project. Don't look for an amend button. There won't be one for 21st Century approved projects. Thanks very much for listening. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to contact the GMS Help Desk. And remember, whenever contacting the Help Desk, let us know your district name, what role you were with, what web page you were on, and what issue you were having, what you clicked right before you had an issue. Again, in the bottom of every web page, you'll see the link to aoe.gmshelp@vermont.gov. Again, thank you very much for listening.